Ladies and gentlemen, for our second panel discussion, the speakers will share their visions on the topic Rising City, Rising Business. First of all, please welcome our moderator for the panel discussion, Assistant Professor Piti Srisangam, Director of Academic Affairs at Chulalongkorn University.
And now let us also welcome back again the Executive Director and Country Manager of MPRL E&P Pte Limited, U Situ Momin, the Director of LYP Group, Okya Sengok, and the Executive and Director and Chief Commercial Officer of JW Info Logistics Public Company Limited, Mr. Thanet Piriyotinkul.
Good afternoon, Mingalaba, Jungrit Tua, and Swadikap. Welcome to our panel discussions. But before I start these sessions, because we have three wonderful gentlemen, and I can say the most successful business tycoon in ASEAN stay with us on this stage. I would like to elaborate more about their CV, about their history. First, I would like to introduce you to U Situ Momin. Currently, he is the Executive Director and Country Manager for MPRL E&P in Myanmar. MPRL E&P is a leading upstream energy company involved in petroleum extractions, productions activities within 6 different assets in Myanmar. U Situ Momin joined MPRL E&P in 2012. In the roles of Deputy Technical Managers and assumed the roles of Countries Managers in the year 2016. He has so many experiences in the fields of oil and gas, from Chevron, from Australia, from so many places around the world. And he also the founding members of Myanmar Societies of Petroleum Engineer. So please welcome U Situ Momin again. And next to U Situ Momin, I would like to introduce you to Okya Sengyak, okay? Okya Andy, okay? Okya Andy is the director of LYP Groups. LYP Group is one of the Cambodian largest and most successful business conglomerates, okay? Mr. Andy takes a leading role in managing all aspects of group's operations, from starting up new businesses, improving operational efficiencies of existing companies, and oversee the group's in total of $500 million annual turnover. He is also the first guys who make LYP to be the first company that can export sugar to European Union. Hence, you'll be about to meet with the next sugar king of Southeast Asia. So please welcome Okya Andy. And last but not least, the proud of Thailand, Kun Thanet Piriyotinkul. Kun Thanet Piriyotinkul currently is the Executive Director and Chief Commercial Officer of JWD Logistics. And of course, JWD Logistics is one of the well-known largest info logistics in Thailand, and it's also listed in the Stock Exchange of Thailand. He has so many experiences from almost all countries around Southeast Asia. And of course, he also worked as the Executive Director of Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone in Cambodia as well. Hence, this is the guys who knows a lot of what happened in Southeast Asia. And please welcome Kun Thanet. Our topic is about rising cities and rising business, and Kun Thanet already told us about the upcoming global trends. And of course, people know a lot about these global trends, and Kun Thanet already told us from the previous sessions that we keep talking about this for more than 10 years already. But the most important thing is not the global trends. The most important is how to capture, how to extract the insight from the global trends. And of course, I would like to ask the first questions to Kun Thanet about the insight of the global trend on the logistics network, how to connect the connectivities in Southeast Asia. Yeah. Please.
Well, I think in terms of the logistics, right, over the global infrastructure as well as the regional infrastructure that we have seen today, I think there is a lot of missing link that we have in our country as well as our regions. Everyone is talking about, AEC is going to be, one of the seamless or borderless, region that is going to produce a lot of development over the next 10 to 20 years. However, if you look at the reality of the country today, there are so many gaps in terms of each country developments in many other industries. And like I said, logistics has been dealing with a lot of industry, starting from manufacturing, distribution, trading business, and many others. So we see a lot of missing link in that kind of things. And what I think we need to really spend our time over the next few years in order to make sure that every country is linked together is basically two things. One is the hardware linkage, which is we're talking about the infrastructure within the country. We're talking about the road transport. We are talking about railway transport. We are talking about a lot of cross-border linkage across the regions. And the second thing is basically the software linkage. A lot of people is now talking about supply chain. A lot of people is now talking about a lot of consumer behavior that has been changing and how the service industry or the logistic industry will be able to responding to that kind of change immediately within the near futures. So I think that is something that we need to look into that one and try to improve our business, not just only on the private sector, but also in the public sector as well. So it's require a lot of collaboration between both sectors together.
Okay, yep, so hardware connectivities and software connectivity is the most important insight. And of course, from his presentations earlier, another insight on that 5 trends, and I can conclude it into one word, is the word good governance, right?
Yes.
It seems like it's also very, very important to control and to ride on that global trend.
Yes.
Okay. So for the next guest speakers, I also would like to ask the questions to Kun Usitu. Okay. We talk about rising cities, right? And from his presentations, he shows us that Myanmar is not only Yangon, right? Because when most of us Thai people think about Myanmar, we always think about the major cities, right? Yangon, right? Mandalay. But Usitu also talk about Irrawaddy divisions, right? So would you please explain more about this, infrastructure development in Myanmar, seaports, new cities, please?
Sure. No, it's a good question. A lot of people, to reinforce what Khun Piti just said, when we think about investment in Myanmar, there's a lot of focus in Yangon, and then there's various reasons for that. One of the main reasons is that the country has been closed off for so long that there's not a lot known about the country. But there are other key regions that I want to encourage people to also seriously explore. One of them is the Irrawaddy region, which is located immediately to the west of the Yangon region. Now, historically, this region has also been renowned as the Rice Bowl of Myanmar, where at one time in our history, only about 30 or 40 years ago, when we were the largest exporter of rice in the world, most of the rice in Myanmar comes from this region. Now, the other thing also in terms of population, the population of Yangon is close to about 10 million people, but the population of Irrawaddy region alone is almost 7 million people. So it is not as big as Yangon, but it's not too far off as well. Now, when we talk about things like the East-West corridor, it is quite normal for people to think that if we're going to develop this corridor, when the right road infrastructure is in place, when we talk about developing the maritime infrastructure such as deep seaports, Yangon is an ideal location. Now, when we look at Yangon a little more carefully, geographically it is an ideal location, but there are other factors that we have to give consideration to when we're going to make such a big investment. When we're talking about a deep seaport, we're talking multi-billion dollars. Now, one of the key challenges with having a maritime port in Yangon, especially a deep seaport that requires a draft or water depth of about 23 meters, is that Yangon city itself is located within the Yangon River, and the draft limitation within the Yangon River is at a maximum 8 meters.
8 meters.
Now, if we want to build a deep seaport in Yangon, one of the requirements then becomes dredging. Now, there's going to be dredging that we have to undertake to deepen the Yangon channel to 23 meters, which is a tremendous task in itself. And at the same time, on an annual basis, studies also indicate that we have to do operational dredging to maintain that debt on a yearly basis, which could amount to about $500 million a year. And so these type of costs and expenses make it prohibitive for key infrastructure such as deep sea ports to be located and built in Yangon, which is why I've indicated the ideal location is in the western seaboard city of Ngayogao. Now, one of the key challenges that need to be overcome is that the right transport infrastructure has to be put in place, which requires investment. But once that is in place, what this is an analog of is what has happened in Thailand just over the past 20 years ago. Now, if you recall, about 25 years ago, Bangkok went through a very similar issue, where there was issues and challenges with regard to congestion in the Bangkok port that needed to be overcome. Hence, there was a development to the east of creating the Lamchapan port. And what we are trying to do in Myanmar is a very similar analogy to what has happened in Thailand, except we're trying to apply the same principle by looking west.
Okay. So this is the new cities that can go beyond the limitations of Yangon, right? Especially the Irrawaddy area, which is very, very interesting. And from his presentations, as you may already notice, that we talk a lot about road number 9, East-West Economic Corridor, that will link Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, PDR, and Vietnam together. And currently, the East-West Economic Corridor ends at the province of Malamang or Molamyai in Myanmar. But right now we talk about the extensions of these roads and this highway to Yangon and this Irrawaddy area. Hence, this is the new rising cities that will give us a lot of opportunities. And of course, when we talk about the new cities, in Thailand, we also did talk a lot about Eastern Economic Corridor, or the EEC, right? The areas of Cha Cheong Sao, Chonburi, and Rayong. And there's so many research work that prove that to utilize the highest potentials of the Special Economic Zone, this economic zone should link to another economic zone on the opposite sides of the borders. And of course, we are talking about the areas of the eastern part of Thailand. And from the presentations of Okya Andy, he also talked about Koh Kong Special Economic Zone, right? Could you please elaborate more about this project and the new generations of Special Economic Zone when they will do all the hard things for the business people, right?
Yes, in the Special Economic Zone, the government initiative is to solve all the complicated government paperwork to give it to the local people to handle, and the foreign investor just focus themselves on their strength, which is their factory operation and their own market. So in Koh Kong, we actually having 340 hectares of the Special Economic Zone that currently having Hyundai car assembly. We have a Nike and Adidas factory, which they initially start with one factory, about 2,500 workers, and then they expand to the second factory, and now they extend to the third and the fourth factory is under construction. And we also have the Yasaki, which is the electronic cable in the car for Toyota and Honda that they produce it in our Special Economic Zone and move it back, the semi-finished product back to the Thailand factory. And the reason they actually not moving from Thailand to Cambodia. They want to set up another factory in order to prepare for the flooding in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
The reason they moved to Koh Kong SEZ is because of the flooding at the time, and they are in a very difficult situation. So they said they need to reduce the risk by separate the factory into two places. Right. And also we have a Hanna Group who have producing the electronic products for the Samsung in the Special Economic Zone, and Mikasa volleyball factory. So there's a few factories there that are already in the Special Economic Zone. And we can see that they are doing it well and expanding from phase 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So this model in the Special Economic Zone work well for Thai investor, for the people who want to focus their strength on what we have been doing in Thailand, instead of when you go to an overseas country, you kind of scared, how to deal with the government, how to deal with the tax, how to deal with the labor law, how to deal with this, how to deal with that. Let this be handled by the special economic zone operator.
Okay. Yeah, as I told you earlier, if Thailand would like very much to promote our S-curve industry, this S-curve industry need to integrate into a regional supply chains. And it seems like Koh Kong already have there the lower cost of labor, and all of this labor seems to have a very, very close socio-cultural background to Thai people. Hence, in order to work with them, it will be easier, I believe. And of course, the industries such as Toyota, such as Nike, high technology garment is already there in Koh Kong. Access to Sihanoukville is not that far. Hence, in order to link these, new cities in Cambodia to the area that we are proposed to be the LEADS project in order to move Thailand out of middle income traps like EEC, right? Logistics seems to be at the heart of these systems. Hence, I would like to turn my microphone to Khun Thanet again and ask about how logistics related to other new business platform in order to serve customer in Southeast Asia. Okay. How to benefit from these seamless connectivities between the countries in ASEAN and JWD. I believe you already prepare these systems to serve Thai business people, right?
Yes, sure. So I think we have quite a number of challenges when it's come to how we can basically develop a lot of logistic platform in order to serve different business unit, different industry across the regions. Let's look at some of the example today, like the e-commerce industry. People might think that the e-commerce is basically something that is going to be doing in the domestic market like Thailand today, right? But in fact, when it's come to the cross-border of the e-commerce industry, it's not only on the local delivery that we have in the country, it's also there must be a connection in relation to the cross-border in a different other modes. For example, the air freight, the sea freight. So that has to be a combination of everything together in order to serve that. So the key question will be how many companies or how many logistic companies that actually be ready for that kind of challenges in the futures. Right? I think this is one of the key challenge of all the logistic company in this market. In the future, it's not only the logistic company that you have to compete with each other, it's going to be the logistic company that is going to compete with the e-commerce operators. Because many of these e-commerce operators in the future, they are going to heavily invest in a lot of logistic activity across the regions. And that's where you will see that a lot of connectivity is very important. Another good example of the business that we can see is that if you look at the automotive industry, right? Thailand has been recognized as one of the export manufacturing hub for the automotive industry. So today, when we look at the logistics, we're going to see a lot of suppliers coming in. In one of the vehicles that you have to produce, there is more than 10,000 pieces of the parts that has to be produced and combined to one car. And you are talking about 1,000 of supplier vendors when it's come to the car manufacturing parts. This is the company that the industry that we are in. We are managing a lot of logistics supply chain, starting from the upstream to the downstream. But if you look at, let's say, another 5 years, when half of the market become EV, right, electronic vehicle, what's going to happen with the logistic company? At least half of the part that is used to be used in the car will be gone, right? It will be only electric battery that will be there, right? A lot of ignitions, engine will be gone, right? So that is going to be one of the challenges that the logistic industry have to adapt ourselves. We have to prepare a lot of platform in order to link our logistic operation into the automotive industry today, so that in the future, it's not only the logistic activity outside the manufacturing that we are going to do, but we are going to do a lot of logistics when it's come to the internal manufacturing part of it. For example, we are going to do a lot of purchase order management. We are going to do a lot of supply chain plannings. So that will be a lot more of the variety of logistics in the futures. Right? Apart from that, there will be a lot of technology that is coming in. Right? People now is talking about consumer behavior. Right? The logistics today is more on we are serving a lot of B2B customer, but in the future, when we move into the B2C market, we need to clearly and fully understand what is the requirement and the need of our consumer. And then we'll be able to customize the system, we'll be able to customize our organization, our process, and our service in order to deliver the service level to our customer. So that's where I think it's come into the revolution of the new logistic industry, that people are competing each other today. It's not competing for investment, but it's competing for a lot of other facility of the logistics in the industry right now.
Okay, it seems like JWD already prepared, right? Because when we talk about doing business and investment in our neighbor countries, most of Thai business people always concerned about logistics, right? How to get a raw material from our neighbor countries, how to deliver goods and final products to our neighbor countries. It seems like JWD not only think about how to find solutions for these present challenges, but he also think about the future challenges as well. He already talked about electricity vehicle, and soon I believe there will be need to talk about autonomous vehicle as well, right? When there's no driver,
Self-driving vehicle,
right? The AI will drive a car, drive a trucks for you. That's another challenges. But right now, they don't focus only on the transportations, but also talk about the services to provide this seamless and longer supply chain by so many kind of services. Hence, we can use Thai logistics system in order to access to our neighbor countries better than ever. Hence, now we should focus more on our neighbor countries, right? If we talk about Myanmar, I would like to ask U Situ from the very beginning about the challenges of doing business in Myanmar, because when people talk about especially energy industry, right? People always think, oh, this is a very, very tough industry, high technologies, complex, and sometimes this thing was always, governed by a very, very huge firm, by state-owned enterprise even sometimes. Hence, can you tell us about the challenges on the business, challenges on how to fetch the business opportunity, especially in the field of energy industry in Myanmar?
Maybe for the sake of the audience, I can touch upon one or two common challenges that a lot of investors don't prepare for enough when they go in and do business in Myanmar. Now, when the country transitioned to a democracy and when we opened our market up, there was a lot of excitement and there was a big wave of investors that went in to actually rush to invest in Myanmar and to be the first. Now, it was also quite common for quite a lot of these investors to not achieve their expectations. And one common challenge that you'll hear about going in and investing in Myanmar is that there's a lot of red tape, there is bureaucracy, there are laws that are aging and not applicable, and more so, there are also laws that may be conflicting or confusing. And so what I tend to suggest to people looking to investing in Myanmar and overcoming this challenge is try to be in a rush, address these things with a sense of urgency, but don't rush so fast and expect to make a quick buck and quickly get out. Yes, there is some bureaucracy, and there are some things that we are doing to overcome that. One of them is moving from a paper-based administrative environment within our governments to a digitized environment that we're calling an electronic government system. Now, this transition is starting to materialize now, whereby there are key bodies such as the Myanmar Investment Commission that's very much trying to embrace technology to overcome a lot of this red tape. Now, again, we are in the beginning process of doing this, and I hope to see some material results that is going to be passed on to investors very soon here as well. The other thing also is I would also invest in taking the time to study some of the legal implications that may be involved in the businesses that you are doing. There's two ways to do this. One of them is obviously to seek in-country legal support. But at the same time, I believe there's tremendous value when you reach out to existing Myanmar businesses who have actually explored pursuing the same opportunities that you may be looking towards exploring. Speak to them, learn about the environment, Learn about some of the challenges and learn about some of the things that they may have tried successfully or unsuccessfully to overcome these challenges. And that will give you a better shot at achieving what you want to achieve in the country of Myanmar.
Okay. This is the thing that we need to consider more, right? You need to study beforehand. Before you go there, you have to study what happens in the market you are going to invest, you are going to do trades, and prepare to stay long. And of course, when we talk about stay long, that means we are talking about the concept of sustainable development, right? Like the presentations by Kun U Sin Tu earlier, when he talked about how to develop a special economic zone, a industrial estates that not only focus on industrial side, but also talk about the sustainable as well. And of course, for the same questions, how about for the case of Cambodia? Are there any challenges? Are there anything to concern to fetch the business opportunities in Cambodia right now?
Like I explained on the slide, for the last slide that I do not have a lot of time to explain to you. I think that doing business everywhere is the same. Firstly, you need to identify your strength locally and see if this strength move to Cambodia or to overseas, it still be a strength or not. Might not be, it might be. For example, I give you an example. We got the big construction company from overseas come and meet us and say, Andy, we want to have a business with you. And then I look at their profile and it's a big construction company. But then what do you want to do? I know you are big, but when you come to Cambodia, what project you want to do? If you want to do like a normal villa house or something, we don't need a big construction company to do it. Even a local company can do it, you know? If you want to do a very high-rise building, okay, that is the right one that you want to do. But another question is, high-rise building have the market demand or not?
Yes.
See? So this is identify your strength and consider if this strength when moved to Cambodia is still a strength or not. If it is still a strength, some people big in one country because of the local knowledge, because of the local relationship. When they move to overseas, all of this become not valuable anymore. Then it's become very tough for them to stay in Cambodia. So focus on the strengths that you think that can move to Cambodia. For example, interior contractor. We have a good competitive. From Thailand, they do the 5-star hotel for me, which Cambodia do not have that kind of skill to do a 5-star hotel, you know? So this become their strength when they move to Cambodia. But if they don't develop further in the next few years, local company will come up, and their cost will be lower. When we engage an interior company to do our 5-star hotel, the cost is big because they multiply the salary into 2 times when they calculate the cost. So we can tell, in the next few years, if you don't change, when the local come up, then it is too late. Then there is the interior company that do the 5-star hotel for us. They start to recruit the local staff and use Thai supervisor to do it. Then they reduce the cost significantly. So this is the strength that we are talking about.
Okay, hence to do business in not only Cambodia, I think you should start from focus on what is your strongest point, right? And then try to strengthening this strongest point and prepare this strong point to get access to other market. Then utilize the competitiveness from other markets such as lower cost of productions from lower wage rates in Cambodia in order to compete with the international competitors who also pay a lot of attention to Cambodia as well, because right now Cambodia is no longer considered as the low-income countries anymore, right? Just last year, Cambodia was announced by the World Bank that it's already achieved the status of middle-income countries already. Hence, as you can see,
there are so many business opportunities in this new area, in this new frontier. And Thailand try also via the logistic systems. We are also Thai financial institutions like BBL, like JWD, when it's come to the logistic firms, to reach out to this new frontier. Hence, before we go further on my question list, why don't we allow our audience, our participations, are there any questions you would like to ask our three wonderful gentlemen up here on the stage? If you have any questions, if you need any answer, especially direct to your business, direct to your needs, please feel free to pass questions to our staff who stand on the side of the hallways. So please feel free if you have any questions. And then for the BBL staff, if you got any questions from the floor, please also hand to me, because we would like to do like a two-way communications for the audience to earn the most benefits from this discussions panel. Please feel free to ask any questions, okay? So for the next questions, I would like to ask Khun Thanet more about the technologies, because he started his presentations earlier with the global trends, right? Hence, apart from logistics industry, apart from logistics services, do you see any business in Thailand that need to be aware, need to be prepared more in order to, catch up with this, global current trends, you can say, technology disrupt right now?
Well, I think in Thailand market, I think over the last 2 years, there are a few industries that we start seeing a lot of technology penetration into our business. And a lot of people might call that one as the technology disruption in our business, right? One of the key core business, if you can look at, is basically the retail industry. And another one is probably the banking industry, right? Where you can see a lot of technology change, right? So it's not about the competitions, right? That is going to be the same. But right now we are talking about the competition environment is completely changed, right? You used to compete with just only the retail industry, but right now you're basically competing with a lot of people who has an ability to find a product and sales, right? You have a lot of people who may be able to source a little less cost of fund and then be able to give you a loan at a cheaper price. So there is a lot of footprint and a lot of changing into the environment of the competitors right now. So I think it is something that we have seen over the last 2 years, and it's going to be even more and more, right? Because those industry is basically the industry where it's linked to a lot of people right now, right? And apart from Thailand, if you also look at in across the regions, you see that a lot of food business is now changing, right? People seems to want to eat at home. People seem to want to don't have that time that they're going to spend 1 or 2 hours in the restaurant. So they're starting to order a lot of things right now. So a lot of those technology is coming, right? And I think it's necessary for us to first really think about what would be the disruption. Because to me, I think as the family business before, right, we will always think that we are proud of 40 years of the business in Thailand. Different people are proud of their historical business in Thailand, in different countries, in their own families. But I think right now it's very important to seriously think about what you can disrupt yourself before somebody else is going to disrupt you, right? And this is something that I think is very important, and it is important in such a way that from the business people, like family business, how you're going to strengthen your organization, the competency within your organization, in order to make sure that we have a capability to really disrupt ourselves. So this is something that I feel is a very challenging environment of the business today. It's not about other people disrupt you, it's about you yourself disrupt yourself and then be able to move ahead and faster than your competitors.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting thing, because for the computer, for the AI, it was made up from the program computer, right? Yes.
And this program computer was right to answer some objective, right? And it will keep running and running and running for millions of times, repeated itself more and more to do the machine learning in order to achieve that objective, which quite different from human being, right? We know where is the weak point, where is the strength point, and if Kuntanet recommend to us that even you have a very, very long history background of your family business, sometimes it is the time to reconsider. It's the time to rethink about that again. It's also confirmed what's proposed by Okya Andy that you have to focus on the strength. Hence, if your business, your old business still have some flaw, still have some weakness, you may have to fix it, right? Even sometimes you may have to stop doing it. You may also need to disrupt yourself, right? Kuntanet also recommends. The same questions also apply for the case of Myanmar and Cambodia, right? Because for Myanmar, the Myanmar economy was closed since 1962 and was reopened again around 2010. Hence, you skip the period from changing, from technology disrupt in industry, what can I say, industry 2.0 to 3.0, it's already missed out, right? Because it's closed economies. And then Myanmar opened to the world economies again as the world that changed into industry 4.0. Are there any challenges? Are there any needs? Are there any demand? Are there any business opportunity in Myanmar that related to this changing in digital economies?
That's a great question. I think when we look into the context of Myanmar opening up, there was one key initiative that had a significant impact towards achieving or Myanmar leapfrogging and catching up with our ASEAN neighbors. And that was in 2013, when for the first time in the country's history, we had two of the largest mobile operators in the world, Telenor and Ooredoo, come in and invest in Myanmar and undertake a significant investment, which resulted in our population holding mobile phones going from about 10 to 15% to within 6 months, close to 100%. And that alone was a huge disruption for the entire nation. Now that really, really created opportunities for us to leapfrog. Like you were saying, skip the 2.0 and 3.0 editions and move straight to 4.0. There's two examples I can give you where this has been interesting and this has been actually featured. The first is with regard to payments. And so traditionally in a lot of countries, you'll have countries that transition from a cash-based system to a credit card system and now to a mobile payment system. In Myanmar, we're seeing the population transition and leapfrog and bypass the credit card system and go straight to digital and mobile payments. Now we see that this is very common now in China, and we are seeing it's becoming very, very common in Myanmar, whereby people in Myanmar, as opposed to taking large sums and notes of currency, will now just simply top up their mobile phones, use that money to pay each other, use that money to go out and spend at restaurants, and use that to go out and pay at when they go shopping. So I found that to be very interesting. There's a lot of opportunity that can be created along the space. Even things like logistics. I don't think there's a lot of innovative new models that have been used and applied in Myanmar, whereby a lot of these models are successful models that have already been tested in other ASEAN regions and also applied successfully there, that people are migrating to Myanmar. Maybe in the logistics space, there's one key company that is doing very well, and all they do is they have an application for your phone that allows you, if you want to move your goods, to go on that application, and they put you in touch with somebody that wants to help you move those goods. And it's a very similar concept that we see done for ride sharing, for home sharing, and we're seeing this in the logistics space in Myanmar as well. And so in terms of investments, again, Myanmar is tremendously lagging our ASEAN neighbors for the time being. But for those of you that are interested to invest in Myanmar, you don't have to think about reinventing the wheel. But go and look very carefully at some of the things that have actually worked in our neighboring countries, that have worked in Thailand. You might be surprised at very simple things that can have a tremendous commercial impact as well as a business impact if you use them and deploy them in Myanmar today.
Yeah, so some applications, right, that is boom in Thailand. For example, I heard that Line application is also very boom in Myanmar, mostly because we have a lot of Myanmar workers in Thailand, and all of them use Line in applications in Thailand. So when they would like to contact back to their families, they introduce their family to use Line applications as well. Hence, this is the thing that you see. There's the more like a technological transfer, right, from Thailand to Myanmar. How about in Cambodia? The situations of digital transformations in Cambodia, is it come with a challenge? Is it come with a, are there any preparing for Cambodia in order to tag along with these disruptions? How about the challenge and business opportunities related to this changing in, digital world?
Well, I think that everybody appreciates the technologies that bring us the convenience. But if you sit back and think that with the Line application, it actually makes you work harder. Every single hour you may need to read the Line message because of I have so many groups in the Line. In Cambodia, we use Line, we use WhatsApp, we use Viber, we use WeChat, we use Telegram, we use everything. So some people in the group I need to create. I have the group for construction of the exhibition center. I have the group for water park construction. I have the group for Safari World. I have the group for power plant. I have the group for sugar factory. So every hour they will have a report, and it makes you exhaust actually. Okay. However, you need to take advantage of this. Sometimes, if you don't create this group, they might feel like the boss is not there or whatever. You just do it, But in a group, just sometimes you just comment, this is not good. They don't know how many information that you have read, but they will go and fix a lot of things for you. So try to take advantage of the technology. On the other side, we are operating the casino in the Kokong border. At that time, 10 years ago, actually, we already figured out that we need to go digital. We call online casino. Why? Because the casino in Kokong, we focus on the VIP customer. But it takes too far to travel, about 6 hours from Bangkok. So only technology that can bring people can bet everywhere in the world. So it will be able to leverage this operation into worldwide. So this is the application of the technology.
Yeah, and I believe only Cambodia, right, which the online casino it's legal in Southeast Asia.
Yes.
And this is another opportunities, right? Because we can say that this is another way to utilize technologies, right? It will cut out all the barriers, especially time consuming and distance. Now people can do almost everything online. Hence, are there any questions from the floor? No? Okay. That's fine. Okay. If there are any questions, please feel free to hand it to me. Unless I will talk with my three gentlemen more and more. Okay. So I think now it's the good times for both private sectors in Thailand and from our neighbor countries to voice their needs. From the private sectors in Thailand perspectives, what is the most important thing that financial institutions in Thailand, market in Thailand, or even government in Thailand should do, should initiate more like a project or anything, any campaigns in order to help Thailand to connect to our neighbor countries, like you said, seamless. Because we would like very much to be a trading nation, right? But so far, it seems like Thailand always have a lot of non-tariff measures. The software connectivities, like you mentioned earlier, seems to be not that seamless like we need. Are there any particular thing that Thai private sectors would like to voice that, okay, this is the thing we need in order to make a real connectivities in order to make Thailand, catch up with this changing in the global digital trends?
Okay. Well, I think to me it's basically two things that I would like to voice out, as some of the experience that we have seen. The first thing is that what I feel in the country is now there is a big gap of the SME customer or the SME business in the country where I would say they haven't got enough or sufficient support, right, in order to make sure that the business has been growing, right? A lot of projects that we have been doing today, there are a lot of involvement with the Thai conglomerate companies in the country. However, if you're talking about trying to link, right, between the large organization down to the levels, then there is a big chunk of the middle organization, like the SME people, right, in the country, where I think there must be a lot of, campaign in order to support them. I'm taking a bit of the example, like for example, last couple of weeks, I went for a business trip in Singapore, right? And I learned to know that in Singapore, there are some of the organization pretty similar to BOI, but this organization is basically supporting the Singaporean SME business in order to invest a lot in Singapore and be able to invest overseas and create that kind of networks, right? So the government, also Singapore government, is basically launched a lot of campaign. For example, what we are seeing on that day is basically we are looking at the cold storage, right, in terms of the logistics investment in Singapore, and there is a lot of benefits. For example, the government pay straight away 70% of the cash in order to subsidize that kind of investment, and then the remaining of 30%, whatever is related to the imported tax, is become zero. Right? So it's really encouraged the Singaporean people to invest both inside the country and also outside the country. And the second thing that I think is very critical, right, and it's something that we need to work in parallel with the first thing, is basically how we're gonna really drive the digital economy in Thailand, right? Because we are talking about digital economy, but at the higher level, there is not much change in the law and regulations in order to support that. So it's both ways that I feel that the government needs to really encourage the business people, right, in the middle class, in order to basically expand their business in the country and outside the country. And at the same time, the government needs to create the environment where the law and regulation is really support the digital economy, right? It's not just only on the overall macro level, but it has to go down to the practical levels, where a lot of people who would like to invest in the digital business, they'll be able to support. And there is no law and regulation that is trying to grab them away from that kind of developments, right? So that is two things that I think is a good, point that we should voice out.
Okay. So one is SME support, right? Full support for SME development to invest not only in Thailand, but maybe support them to go abroad. And the second one is how to make Thai people get that, digital economies, digital literacies. Yeah. This is the thing that is very, very important. How about from the perspectives of business people, success business people in our neighbor countries? Are there any voice that you would like to voice to Thai business people, voice to Thai policymakers, or voice to Thai financial systems, Thai financial institutions? Are there anything you would like to voice to us?
I think I can reinforce what is already being done in various conferences and forums to better integrate the ASEAN region. It is no secret that when it comes to things like technology, that Myanmar is currently lagging a lot of our nations, or a lot of our neighbors, and the initiatives that are taking place in our neighboring countries. Because we've talked about this morning and this afternoon about the value of regional integration and the value of the entire ASEAN region collectively growing together, there's also tremendous value in making sure that countries like Myanmar don't get left behind. Now, I see that there's already coordination being done at a master planning level to see how we can together embrace the future with the foundations of the bedrock using technology. At the same time, I want and I like to encourage nations like Thailand and other ASEAN nations to very carefully and patiently bring along Myanmar as well. And I believe there's tremendous value if we grow and we grow together. And if one of the nations gets left too far behind, or for example, if there are some fundamental elements that we don't put into place with regard to our long-term master plans now, these elements may be harder to change, let's say 5, 6, or 7 years down the road, by which time it might be too late.
Okay, yeah. This is another important thing, right? We need to, hand in hand, don't leave anybody behind, inclusive walk together between Thailand and Myanmar. And as Kun U Situ mentions in his presentations earlier, there's a lot of map. And as you can see, Myanmar, as he mentions, is not just, invest in Myanmar is not just for Myanmar, but also this is the gateway to access to the western directions of ASEAN. This is the gateway to access to Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean. This is the gateway to China and India. Hence, this is the opportunities that we have to walk hand in hand between Thailand and Myanmar, and of course, overcome the difference, especially in terms of technologies development, technological readiness. How about from Cambodia? Are there anything you would like to voice to Thai private sectors, Thai policymakers, or financial institutions?
I think that to Thai businessmen, I encourage you to go and walk, have a look at Cambodia, have a look at Myanmar, have a look at the Asian country, especially in Cambodia. Why? Thailand have a very similar culture to Cambodia. People like to watch Thai drama. That's why we bring the Thai drama from Channel 3, And Cambodian believe that the product produced in Thailand have a better quality. So you have an advantage over on the image of the product itself. In addition to that, you have a very good bank to support you. Low interest rate, I can tell you that not many banks will arrange the foreign for you to understand more about the AEC or the countries to encourage you to go overseas. Wow, I surprised to have joined a forum like this, and I believe that we deliver some information that is valuable for you to make the decision to go to invest overseas. In terms of government, I can tell you that as a businessman, we don't expect a lot from government to help supporting the business because they mostly looking overall picture. Okay, as long as they don't find us trouble, and be happy enough. But anyway, so go and have a look. It will be better than just stay in Thailand.
Yeah, I also agree with Kun Ok, Andy, that we should travel more, we should visit more to our neighbor countries. Most of Thai people always said like, oh, if I know this thing gonna happen 30 years ago, 20 years ago, I'm gonna do that, do this, right? If I know that, oh, this plot of land will be this high price now today, 10 years before that, I should buy that thing already and then make a lot of money, right? Unfortunately, so far, we cannot build time machine. But low-cost airline tickets to visit our neighbor country is very, very cheap. And people keep saying that, oh, our neighbor countries is like Thailand 5 years ago, Thailand 10 years ago. Hence, this is a real time machine, right? Why don't you overcome your fear about challenges, about hard of doing business in our neighbor countries and visit the place? See by yourself, right? See Koh Kong by yourself. See Irrawaddy area by yourself. And when you were there, I traveled to this area a lot, and you see we are very, very similar to each other. The way Thai people think and the way people in our neighbor country think is pretty much the same. We share so many things together more than we think. Hence, I fully support Ogya Andy that we should visit our neighbor countries more and more to learn. And of course, there's 9 BBL branches located in 9 ASEAN countries. And this is the one pillars that can help you a lot, facilitate you a lot when you travel to our neighbor countries. I travel a lot to Myanmar, I travel a lot to Vietnam, to Southeast Asian nations, and every time I visit BBL office, and they help me a lot. Even I don't invest, right? I'm the university professor, but I get a very good data set, I get a very good advice from the 9 people, 10 people that line up before our sessions. Are there any floor questions? There's a very interesting questions here. They think in order to do business both in Myanmar and in Cambodia, trading companies is very, very important. Are they still prohibited to do trading companies in both Myanmar and in Cambodia? And how is the business trade pattern in both countries? Could you answer these questions? Okay, please.
I happen to take care of the trading business as well in LYP Group. I want to tell you that trading business in Cambodia is competitive. Why is competitive? Because Cambodia is a market that is open to everyone. They don't have any quota, don't have any limitation for any product from any country. So a products that you normally bring from overseas to Thailand and you want to bring it to Cambodia, you have to ensure that your product is competitive enough to compete with the local supplier who also source from the direct factory, either in Thailand or in China. So, but the good news is that you can bring in any product, any time, without any restriction to Cambodia as long as you're paying the proper tax that government has been set. But ensure that your product is competitive comparing to the local supplier.
Yeah. I'll fully agree with Andy. It's a very similar climate environment in Myanmar as well. Although we don't have a complete proliferation of trade where investors, both foreign and domestic, can trade in whatever they want, there are still some sectors that have restrictions, which have certain requirements, such as partnering with a government entity for you to undertake trade. But it's no secret that if you go to our investment commission, trade companies or companies that are involved in trading are in fact one of the most common forms of companies that are registered to establish and operate in Myanmar. And so if you're thinking about going into trading, make sure that you know your market well. Make sure you know specifically what it is you want to trade and the value you want to get out of it. And specific to Myanmar, don't underestimate logistics costs. Right now, because of, for example, a lack of a deep sea port, to bring down the cost of handling of goods and cargoes in Myanmar, the logistics costs can be quite sizable and can have a material impact towards the business or the trading business that you're looking at pursuing. So I'd advise study these very carefully, learn the lay of the land before you actually go in and explore for such trading opportunities.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of homework before you go to invest. And the next question is about the concept of, recently we talk a lot about PPP, public-private partnership, right? This is the current trend in so many countries. How about in Myanmar? How about in Cambodia? Are there any, opportunities for Thai business people to involve in this public-private partnership project, in your two countries? Yes.
Yes, Cambodia actually was proposed by a Japanese JICA to do the PPP. But to my understanding and my information, mostly the project with PPP is quite sizable, quite a big project normally. Okay, the size is big. Secondly, when the size is big, it becomes complicated. It's not a straightforward trading business. It will involve a lot of relationship, a lot of things to study before you can get this PPP done. So maybe a local partner might be helpful for you if you want to do any business related to PPP.
Okay, hence the concept is there, but in order to do it like it's not practically yet. It's not pragmatic yet. Okay, how about in Myanmar?
Most certainly. There are a lot of opportunities to enter into public-private partnerships with the government. Now, one of the key challenges that the government currently faces is that we don't have the necessary funds that we need or intend to use to generate economic growth and nationwide development. It's a big issue, and one of the traditional issues to overcome or ways to overcome this challenge is through PPPs. And so there are a variety of opportunities available. Some of the larger opportunities in terms of scope are with regards to building infrastructure, where the government wants to rely on public-private partnerships through awarding very, very long concessions to put in infrastructure such as roads. At the same time, there is public-private partnerships in energy that the government is leveraging to install brand new transmission lines, distribution systems, which can be very large in scale, but can also be at a manageable scale for SMEs as well. And so what is important in Myanmar is that when you're going to embark on these projects, you have to gain the trust of the government first. And it's not just trust in the company that you are, but trust in your track record, your ability to deliver on what you say you're going to deliver, and your commitment to Myanmar. The government is now looking for companies, good companies, who not only have the capability, but are willing to commit to stay in the country for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And these are the type of companies that the government wants to partner with in PPP models to actually help and assist with the different areas of growth that the country wants to undertake.
Okay, and thank you very much. So PPP is the future. It's the thing that's going to happen in future, and we better start to prepare ourselves to fetch these opportunities. And then there's the questions that specifically asks JWD. In what year do you think that logistics would use a self-driving vehicle, autonomous vehicle as normal?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a fortune teller, so I cannot really say in what year, but one thing I can make it quite sure in my own mind is that self-driving vehicle for the market like in Thailand, right, and market like in Southeast Asia, it will definitely come, right? Especially in Thailand, we are facing a lot of experience in our industry today where it's very easy to invest the trucks, but it's very difficult to get the driver, right? And that's become a lot of headache in all the transportation industry today. So I would say that in the future it's gonna come, and we already start seeing something very similar in another kind of logistics, like for example the warehousing, the cold storage. There is a lot of people start investing the ASRS already, right? It's the fact that it's about the labor, right? It's not about the more expensive labor, but it's about the scarcity of the labor.
Shortage.
Right? Even you're gonna pay them double, you won't find them, right? They don't want to work in the warehouse. They don't want to work in improper places. They want to work in the shopping malls. They want to work in something nice. So that kind of thing in the future is going to be very difficult. So I'm pretty sure in the sector of transportation, it's going to come pretty soon.
Okay. That means in the long run, this robotics thing, this AI thing will be there. But in the short run, we still need to depend on our neighbor countries, right? In the terms of like foreign workers that come here and help and contribute a lot to our Thailand GDP, especially from Myanmar and Cambodia. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. There's a couple of questions related to the issues of human capital, human development. Do you see any business opportunities in this field, both in Myanmar and in Cambodia? The field of human resource development, the field of training, educations in your two countries?
This is a very good topic. I tell you, who is in this industry, you must go to Cambodia quickly. Why? Because now in Cambodia there is many schools, but there is no professional development school. Not enough. Let's say our sugar factory, when we recruit staff for the factory, we need electrical mechanic, we need the chemical people, a lot of this talent. We need to get the basic from a general university and then send them to Thailand to train for that. And beside this, you need a lot of school to teach instead of university. You need the skill who can work on a specific industry. This is important. For example, nurse in the hospital. You know, this is a lot of requirement. Mẹ bạn, the housekeeping, and a lot of skills that you need to be trained is actually lack of that. Lot of skill. So if anyone want to open the school in Cambodia in terms of this, to develop this human resource for Cambodia, government is happy to accept, and also I believe that there is a business opportunity for this.
This is very interesting because I went to Cambodia for so many times to do my research paper, and one of my research paper is about human resource landscape in mainland ASEAN, and I did find that there's a lot of demand for semi-skilled and high-skilled workers in Cambodia, and you know Cambodian people is very eager to learn. They work hard. They are very tough. Once I was in Aeon shopping mall, in supermarkets, you know, and then I wait in the line to buy things. And then when I was there at the cash machines, the clerks asked me in Thai language, คุณมีบัตรสมาชิก Aeon ไหมครับ? And I said, oh, how do you know? How you can speak Thai? He tell me that, oh, in Cambodia, if you would like to develop yourself, if you like to upgrade yourself from lower economic class to upper economic class, language is the key. And this is the phenomenon that happens in Cambodia since 1990s. When there's not Cambodian companies, there's only international organizations that work in Cambodia, right? Hence, people who would like to get a job, they need to be able to speak foreign languages. And this is the mindset of Cambodian workers. They would like very much to develop themselves. They would like to learn more. And they notice that even I don't say anything, and then I walk to that cash registers, they notice that I'm Thai. I don't know how. Maybe because of what I buy from Aeon Mall, they say, oh, this is Thai people. They ask me in Thai automatically. This is the phenomenon I found in our neighbor countries. How about Myanmar, the human resource area?
You know, personally, there's a lot of challenges that the country has to overcome for us to move forward and enjoy economic growth and development. And in my opinion, the biggest and most important challenge that we have to address is education and capacity building. And we have to address this at all levels. And to answer your question directly before I elaborate further, yes, there are tremendous opportunities. Whether you're talking about the schooling of children that are going to middle school or high school, to collegiate level programs, to vocational and training and specific skills development. Now, if you look at schooling or private schooling, Myanmar has as one of the most expensive private schools in the region now, whereby there are certain international schools that you'll be paying a college tuition price for just to attend. Now, we're also seeing a big proliferation of a lot of these fit-for-purpose vocational schools that will go out and give people degrees such as an MBA, which they say is affiliated with a certain university in a different country. And we have a lot of people that go out and get these specified little degrees or tailored degrees that come and apply to our business. But I say there's still a lot of opportunity there because I personally believe that the skills that are being taught at these little facilities are not practical. There's a lot of theory that's being taught where it's hard to condense theory into, let's say, 6 or 12-month programs and then prepare somebody to go off and be a valuable part of the workforce. So there is opportunity to go in and specifically set up tailor-made vocational training programs, whether this is in engineering, whether this is in construction, but to simply raise the bar and raise the standard that, and the capability that current people have and be able to become closer to deliver what you can get in other countries. And so it is a very popular sector. It is continuing to gain popularity. And we are not only seeing local businesses starting to grasp opportunities in the sector, but we're starting to see now a lot of foreign businesses who are coming in as well. And perhaps to cap that off, maybe another thing to consider is when I think about a classroom learning environment, what is equally as important as the content that is being taught is who you are in that classroom with. Having an atmosphere of engaged people trying to learn the same subject is very important. And I think having an atmosphere of a diverse group of people engaging in this classroom environment is very important as well. So I wouldn't just look at opportunities to set up vocational training schools in Myanmar, but look at engaging with companies to actually bring talent from those companies to training schools that you may already have set up here in Thailand or in Cambodia or where have you, and try to integrate people from Myanmar and the potential workforce from Myanmar with the workforce that you're training here. And as a business professional, having potential employees go out and undertake and enjoy courses like this in another country, I believe will bring tremendous and a lot more benefits than having people simply go to a vocational school that currently exists in Myanmar.
Yeah, in Myanmar, the situation is also very, very interesting. Lots of opportunity to invest in this human resource development program, high school, vocational school. You know, in Myanmar at Yangon University of Economics, right now there are shortage of economic professors because after the transformations from military to civilian government, most of the university professors was upgrade themselves to be minister, to be the directors in high rank officers in Naypyidaw in Myanmar. Hence, they run out of university professor. I may need to think about changing my career path, working in Cambodia or in Myanmar. Unfortunately, it's about time to stop our panel discussions. But before we hit the end of these panel discussions, why don't we allow each of our guest speakers to speak more, like 2-3 words, more like a food for thought to our audience on how to fetch this rising opportunities in these new rising cities and rising business in both in Thailand and in ASEAN. So please, Khun Thanet, why don't you start to conclude? Thank you.
I think just the last thought to all the business people here. I think AEC is actually a lot of big opportunity for all the business people in this region. I don't want everyone to think that this is actually the challenge that we are going to have faced. And one of the things that I would like to encourage our people, especially the Thai business people, is that don't afraid of investing in other countries, right? Because this is something that has been stuck in Thai business or Thai companies for many years. We are not sure about how to invest in other countries. We're not sure about what would be the risks, right? So we are thinking about everything except execution, right? And like one of the speakers says, you need to go and visit everything. You need to build your networks. You need to know a lot of business people who could potentially become your partner in the future, right? And those are going to be some people who are going to help you to grow the business, to control the risks. So don't be afraid of investing outside the country, and try to make sure that you come up with a lot of business disruption. Be able to prepare your organization in order to invest in other countries. Prepare your people, prepare your competency within the organization, and make sure that you yourself as a leader have got a great courage in going out of the boundaries in Thailand.
Thank you very much. Oya Andy?
I would say is that bring your strength to Cambodia and see if this strength can convert it into a good business in Cambodia or not. And ask the bank for more information, because they have a lot of information in hands that they can recommend you and direct you to the right direction, the right partner. Given Thailand having such a low interest rate at the moment, I think that you should go taking advantage of this low financial costs, going to other country. You will have combined this financial strength with the knowledge that the bank provided, with your strength in the industry. I believe that you can do well in Cambodia.
Usitu, please.
I guess in closing, there are just three things I want to encourage people that are looking at investing in Myanmar. First of all, I think a lot of us talked about knowing the lay of the land. Go in. Yes, there are tremendous opportunities, but at the same time, before you jump into the opportunity, know what you want to do first. Know not just what you want to achieve, but what are some of the hurdles that you have to overcome practically and realistically to achieve it. The other thing is, yes, there are not many frontier nations like Myanmar that remain in the world where there are tremendous opportunities to make businesses very, very commercial and very economically attractive. But at the same time, don't go in with a mindset to make a quick buck. You want to make a quick buck, you can go play the lottery. But here's a country where there is tremendous opportunities, but you have to be patient, you have to be persistent, and you have to persevere. And expect that there will be issues and challenges along the way. But as long as you are persistent, as long as you keep working at it, there's a saying, the harder you work, the luckier you are. And perhaps the last thing that I want to reinforce again is keep in mind that the country only opened up very recently. And keep in mind, whereas most of you have been using mobile phones for the past, let's say, 20, 25 years, in Myanmar, 90% of the population only had the opportunity to start holding a mobile phone 5 years ago. There is a lot of opportunities, particularly with how the whole world is leapfrogging and how technology is changing our lives almost on a daily basis. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And perhaps there's something that Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, said that I find very, very inspiring. You don't have to be the best, but you should be the first. And try to look at opportunities where you can be the first in Myanmar and persist.
Okay, so I think the conclusions from our three successful business tycoon on the stage is you have to go beyond your fear and then visit our neighbor countries, do your investment, do your trades as fast as possible with a lot of hard work, with a lot of information, as much as you gather before you go to invest and do trade in our neighbor countries. And of course, financial institutions like BBL will be a very, very good partners to you in these new emerging economies. So please join me to put our hands together to show our thankfulness to these three wonderful gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ President Badae ออมบุญเจริญเจริญ
Thank you all very much for your visions on rising city, rising business. Now please remain on stage while I invite Bangkok Bank Director and Senior Executive Vice President, Mr. Chansak Pheuengphu, to present gifts and also to have the opportunity to have photographs taken together.
May I now invite Mr. Chayarit Anushit Warawong, Senior Executive Vice President, to come to the stage for the group photo. Usitu Momin, Director and Country Manager of MPRL E&P Private Limited. Okya Sengyo, Director of LYP Group. And Mr. Thane Priyotingun, Executive Director and Chief Commercial Officer of JWD Info Logistics Public Company Limited.
Thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have found out AEC Business Forum informative and useful. And thank you for spending time with us today, and see you again at the next AEC Business Forum 2019. Thank you. ในโอกาสนี้ธนาคารกรุงเทพขอขอบพระคุณทุกท่านผู้มีเกียรติที่ให้ความสนใจเข้าร่วมสัมมนาธุรกิจใหญ่ประจำปีของธนาคารซึ่งธนาคารหวังเป็นอย่างยิ่งว่าทุกท่านจะได้รับความรู้และมุมมองธุรกิจที่จะสามารถนำไปใช้ได้ในการต่อยอดธุรกิจและก้าวสู่ในสนามการค้า AEC สุดท้ายนี้กับผมบุรินทร์อดุลวัฒนะ
และดิฉันลินดาแก้วรัก
เราทั้งสองคนต้องขอลาไปก่อนพบกันใหม่ในงาน AEC Business Forum 2019 สำหรับวันนี้ขอบคุณและสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ